Yes. Good morning. I am Jessica Leigh. I am a sales representative with ProPlasma Aesthetic. I also partner with AMiKO, and that's because I use these things in my treatment room and on my own skin and absolutely love them. So I'm honored to be here today and share a little bit about how to integrate the AMiKO Peel with Jet. I'm going to talk about the D66 as well as their brand new device. And any questions you have, please definitely drop them in the Q&A. And also, just so you know, a lot of people ask this, we will send out the replay of this. So if you missed something or if you have a question, don't hesitate to reach out. If you have to pop off early, we'll send out the replay so you have access to watch this again.
Hi, I'm Karla. I am a licensed aesthetic nurse and cosmetologist with over 20 years experience in advanced skin treatments and recovery. I am the official US distributor for AMiKO, and I've previously owned an award-winning salon. I've worked in the treatment room. I still work in the treatment room, and I trained professionals across the industry, helping hundreds of estheticians and business owners strengthen their skills and grow their practices. And my focus is on bridging real-world treatment experience with science-based education. And I'm really excited to share that with you today. So Jessica, I'll let you go ahead and start with Jet Plasma.
Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead, and before I jump in, I do want to share, I'm actually gearing up to open a space here in Las Vegas, and I sold my original spa in San Diego after owning it for 15 years. And I was just telling Karla that my new space here predominantly will be exactly what we're talking about today. So the treatments that will be the main thing on my menu that I'll mostly be offering is based off of our glow theory today, and I'm excited to share a little bit more about that. So first, in case you're new to Jet Plasma, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, go through just a pretty quick presentation. So if you already have the device, bear with me. But then we'll also talk about layering and protocols once we hear a little bit more about AMiKO as well. So the future of regenerative aesthetics, Jet Plasma, we have our very original devices, the R98 and R97, as well as our D66. That's great for the face. And it also really is great for scar revision, face, neck, scar revision. And then now our new T33 just launched. Today, I'm going to really focus on the D66 because that's what the majority of you have, but we will touch base on the new device as well. So thank you so much for joining and really learning more about Jet Plasma today. So what is Jet Plasma? This is pretty much the main question I get. People are very confused. It's newer technology to the industry, but it's been around for a long time. People are just really starting to hear about it though the last few years. So Jet Plasma, if my screen will go, here we go, is Jet Plasma is a cutting edge technology that's using a cool atmospheric plasma. So this is what is super important, is this is going to be using that cold atmospheric plasma versus fibroblast, which is going to be heat and it's going to burn the skin and leave those little carbon dots. So this is important because we're really able to penetrate the skin and really create change in the skin without creating heat, burns, or damage. So unlike traditional plasma pens, which you would refer to as fibroblast, that cause that injury, this is going to be non-invasive. And I say pain-free. The D66, which is pictured here, is pain-free, but I do want to also let you know the new T33 is a lot stronger and definitely will involve numbing as you get higher up on the settings of the device. So that one still great, but isn't going to be considered pain-free, but it is non-invasive. It delivers ionized gas particles. This is your plasma energy deep into the dermis using a controlled high voltage electrical frequency jet stream. So this is rich in ions, electrons and reactive oxygen and nitrogen species. This is what is going to trigger that wound healing response without actually puncturing the skin with a needle or using that heat that you would see from fibroblast. So we're able to use that fourth state of matter, that plasma gas, to penetrate and create that change in the skin from the inside out. These components interact with cells at a molecular level, triggering powerful changes inside the skin. So this is where we're going to really see a change in the skin. It's going to activate a series of biological processes. The first thing we're going to notice is that cell membrane permeability. So this is the piece of Jet Plasma that allows for better product absorption. This is going to help to open those channels increase that cell permeability, and temporarily allow for deep delivery of active ingredients, enhanced cellular uptake, and improved transdermal absorption. So here is the piece of the puzzle where it really matters what products you're using. This is where when we put on this AMiKO Peel, it's going to be a little bit stronger than if we're using it just on its own. And what serums, masks, things that we apply after Jet really do matter because we're able to open up those channels for a limited time. It also is going to help with fibroblast activation. Jet plasma stimulates fibroblast, and this is going to help with really that anti-aging process. We're going to help with the collagen, elastin, and really going to see an uptick in this. The skin will become firmer, smoother, and more youthful. You will notice this change in the skin right after your first session. With the D66, I really believe that it's about session 3 or 4 before the client really starts to feel the difference. And the new device, it's almost instant. They're going to see a change in their skin right away. So as we go through a series of treatments and we're incorporating things like AMiKO, we're really going to allow for a reduction in those fine lines. This is great, for that anti-aging, for wrinkles, and you will notice that change in the skin. Also great, Jet plasma for anti-inflammatory and antibacterial effects. So cold plasma generates that reactive oxygen species, which is going to kill harmful bacteria on the surface. This is great for acne, also really great for scalp health. It's going to calm that inflammation and reduce redness and create a sterile environment, reducing breakouts. For my acne clients, they see a result day 1. Their first session with Jet plasma, they're going to notice a difference like instantly after their treatment. Really helps to kill that bacteria, helps the client's skin to heal. And when we're able to soothe that inflammation and take away some of that redness out of the skin, the client really can see that change day 1 with their skin. And Jet plasma is also great for ATP upregulation. This is going to be your cellular energy. This helps to enhance the skin's natural energy molecule. And this is what I love about Jet, is it really is helping to heal from the inside out. It's increasing that cellular communication. It's helping to speed up cell turnover, increasing that healing capacity. So this is where it can be great, any trauma to the surface or even using prior to another treatment like a microneedling. This is going to actually help your skin to heal faster, and it helps to support that regeneration. And what makes Jet plasma different? Unlike lasers, microneedling, or more ablative devices, Jet does not create micro wounds to the surface. So we're able to really permeate those cells, help them become more porous, really kind of shrink up, open up those channels, but you're not going to actually be puncturing or creating trauma to the surface. It does not cause any peeling or scabbing. And I say requires no numbing or downtime. However, with the new device, I wouldn't say downtime, but definitely you will need to do some numbing prior to the higher settings on the T33. And Jet respects the integrity of the skin barrier while working beneath the surface. And this is something that I've become very passionate about over the last few years. When I first started in the industry almost 20 years ago, everything was, the more you peeled or the, more trauma we created to the skin, the better. And we really leaned into that as where we were seeing results. But now we're able to really see that regeneration and that help with pigmentation, laxity, acne, inflammation without being as invasive on the skin. So better for the client's barrier, better for the client, as far as getting back to their normal life and not having a big downtime after a service. Even with Jet, we can do Jet plasma today, and tomorrow you can do everything normal. Makeup, you can be out in the sun. Of course, we want to wear SPF and a hat, but you're not going to be limited with your downtime when it comes to Jet plasma. And also really great for hair growth that is separate from, using the AMiKO, but really great for that follicle stimulation. And this is also going to benefit the impact beyond what we're seeing just visible on the surface. So this is where I always say it is healing from the inside out. It's been shown to activate genes responsible for skin's repair and regeneration. And this is huge. Regeneration, longevity, biohacking, these are words that clients are really leaning into right now, and things that they're able to really see a change in their skin and their body and not have that downtime. So Jet is really great for that. great for DNA repair. Some studies suggest that cool atmospheric plasma may support DNA repair mechanisms and damaged skin cells. It helps to prevent cell necrosis, so it's helping to prevent that cell death. And mitochondrial activation, this is the energy producing part of cells, become more active, resulting in better overall skin health. And this is all benefits of using that jet plasma. I do recommend it in a series to really see the benefits and really kind of turn that clock backwards. But even if you're just doing one treatment, you're going to see an improvement. Some benefits of jet plasma are skin regeneration and tightening, wrinkle reduction, collagen regeneration, active acne. You can treat active acne if they have a lot of inflammation. You can still work on them, which is amazing. And great for hyperpigmentation, melasma, great for scar diminishment and wound healing. And again, also great for the scalp. And the biggest benefit here that when we're pairing with something like AMiKO, another product line, is that the product is going to penetrate more effectively and not just be kind of held on the surface, having a hard time breaking through some of those layers, but Jet really opens up that pathway and allows the ingredients to be more effective and stronger than if applied on their own. So keep that in mind. Anything you apply after Jet will be stronger. So when it comes to pairing with AMiKO or pairing with other product lines, you really want to make sure that you know the client, you've worked on them, you know their skin, but pairing the two is amazing for results. And that is where I'm going to stop sharing. I don't want to get into our root device today, so I'm going to leave it there for Jet. And then after we go through AMiKO, we can talk about the protocol as well. So Karla, you can go ahead if you want to talk about the peel.
Perfect. Give me 1 second to just get my screen here. Where did it go? Can you see my screen? Is it there?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. So today I want to walk you through something that's been getting a lot of attention. But I think more importantly, it's something that makes sense clinically and financially in your treatment room. This is the AMiKO MCA Colostrum Peel. Challenges with traditional peels. So I think we've all had this experience, right? So you do a peel and you're either dealing with too much downtime, too much irritation or inflammation, results that are not consistent, or it's the opposite, right? So it's so mild that you're wondering if you even did anything. And then you're constantly thinking about, skin type, sensitivity, what time of the year it is, all of those things. And the real question becomes, how do we get great results without creating all the challenges or problems that we can face? And that is where AMiKO comes in. So what makes this different is that it's not built like your traditional peels. It's MCA-based, so it behaves differently than what most of us are used to. When combined with colostrum, it shifts how the skin responds to the treatment. So instead of, with our peels, we're pushing exfoliation, turnover, so cell turnover. So we're supporting, not just pushing the exfoliation, but we're also supporting how the skin recovers. And that combination is what sets this apart. So MCA. So this is the part that actually got my attention when I first learned about AMiKO. MCA behaves very differently than what we're used to with things like glycolic acid, lactic, or even TCA. So most of our acids that we use in our chemical peels, especially AHAs, they're working on loosening the bonds between dead skin cells. So basically you're getting exfoliation at a more surface level. TCA is a little bit different. It's a protein coagulating acid. So it creates a controlled injury pretty quickly, which is why sometimes you can see frosting. That's not necessarily a bad thing. And it's effective, but it can be more aggressive or less forgiving depending on how it's used. Obviously, with all things, I always say formulation matters most. MCA monochloroacetic acid. It sits somewhere between our AHAs and the TCA. It leans a little bit more controlled. So you still get the coagulation of proteins. You're still getting a deeper effect than a lot of your superficial acids, but it tends to penetrate in a more gradual or controlled manner. So instead of like a rapid, intense reaction that you sometimes see with different acids or peels that you use, it's a bit more steady and controlled, which means less inflammation, which then means less unpredictability also. So the skin still responds, you're still getting that cell turnover, but you're not overworking the skin. And I think that's really the advantage from a treatment perspective, right? Especially when you're working on clients who are maybe more reactive, have more sensitized skin, or even clients with melanin-rich skin. And if you guys have questions as I go, please feel free to use the Q&A. Okay, and then we have our colostrum. So if you're not familiar with colostrum, colostrum is the nutrient-rich first milk produced by mammals right after they give birth. It's packed with antibodies and growth factors and nutrients. So I think of it as support, right? It's the support while the skin is under controlled injury, right? From our peel. Feels like a controlled injury. So colostrum is rich in things like I said, like growth factors, your amino acids, your immune peptides. And what that is it's signaling and support. Those growth factors help to guide repair, and amino acids are there for building collagen and elastin. And then the peptides help to calm down excess inflammation. So again, it's not just exfoliation or the cell turnover, but it's cell turnover or exfoliation with a built-in recovery support. So basically, you're giving the skin what it needs while actively trying to repair itself. So when you combine your MCA, your monochloroacetic acid, with colostrum, you're not just exfoliating, you're influencing the entire healing response. You're controlling the injury on the front end, and then on the back end, you're supporting repair with your colostrum. And that's why when you use AMiKO, you tend to see better tolerance and more consistent outcomes. I usually like to explain it to my clients as like we're not just resurfacing the skin, but we're also helping it to recover a smarter way, basically. Key components in this formulation. I like to break it down into the roles or what they do. So the acids are there, they're doing the controlled exfoliation, the cell turnover, and then you have your colostrum and your amino acids that are supporting tissue repair and regeneration. And then you have ingredients like your panthenol, your allantoin, and those help to calm the inflammatory response. So I think that's really important. And this is a conversation lately that I've been having a lot more with estheticians about controlled inflammation. I think sometimes there is a misconception that the inflammation is what's going to get us the best result. Inflammation is part of the process, but we want it to be controlled inflammation. When inflammation gets out of control, you have a lot of inflammation, you actually risk a lot. You have a lot more risk of things going the opposite way of what we're intending, right? You risk PIE, PIH, all of those things, which can hinder the end result that we're looking for. So you are still getting the inflammatory response. We're just controlling that. So what clients experience? So basically what this, you guys still hear me? Sorry, my headset just went out, I think.
Yeah, we can hear you.
You're there. Okay. So basically what this translates to is you're seeing the smoother texture because of the controlled exfoliation. You are getting better hydration because the barrier isn't being overworked or overly disrupted. And you will see more even skin tone because you're keeping that inflammation controlled. That's a really big part of it. So less inflammation, less risk of post-inflammatory pigment changes. It's something that we should always be thinking about when we're working with not just with AMiKO, but with any peel. One second. I thought there was a question on there, but no, we're good. Okay. So ROI. So from a business standpoint, right, this is one of those treatments that just makes sense to bring into your treatment room. You have a low cost per treatment. It's very quick to perform. Time is money, right? Time is money in our treatment room. So this just makes sense because it's a very quick treatment time, but it is one of your higher ticket items on your menu. So you're not just adding more time to your day, right? I mean, you're not having to add more time to your day. You're just increasing basically the value of what you're already doing. So you can see there, the AMiKO Peel comes in a box of 5 vials. They're 10 ml each. You get 25 treatments per box. Cost per treatment in product is about $22. And then suggested treatment price. And suggested treatment price here is as a standalone peel. So if you are combining it with Jet, you will want to price that accordingly. Jessica, you probably have better suggestions on what that would be if you were to combine the Jet with the peel. But as a standalone, the peel would be about 200 to 250 plus. What would you do? What would you price that at, Jessica?
To do it as an add-on in with a treatment of jet plasma, I recommend 150 to 175 as an add-on price. As you mentioned, it's such a quick treatment, so it doesn't take much longer than just doing your jet service, and then clients really see a great result with it. So it's a great way to add on, and at $22 per treatment, even 150 or 175 is a really nice profit margin there.
Okay, so are you saying 175 plus like the if you're doing the peel at 200?
So if normally you're doing the peel at 200 or 225, then I recommend if you're bundling it into your series with Jet to reduce the price a little bit, just as an incentive for them to buy the package, the series. So that's how I've pretty much priced mine, is that standalone 225 incorporated in with a Jet treatment. They're paying the price of the Jet plasma service plus an additional 175 for the AMiKO.
Got it. Okay, great. So so you can see, the amount of time that it takes and your profit margins there. And on top of that, right, your clients are going to see incredible results. Because at the end of the day, yes, we want to deliver incredible results for our clients, get them to their skin goals, but we are also here to make a living, right? So it has to make sense on both ends. And this is one of those treatments. So it's a very simple, straightforward protocol. And I'm referring to just a standalone protocol, but even with Jet, this is a very simple protocol. The standalone protocol, honestly, you can do it in 15, 20 minutes, the entire treatment. Just as a straightforward standalone treatment. If you were incorporating Jet into this, how much more time would you need, Jessica?
So my Jet treatments are usually for just face about 45 minutes, including a mask. So if I add in the AMiKO, I mean, that takes, not even 5 minutes to apply it, because you're still doing the cleansing step. You're still doing these other steps on here. So I book it as, on the hour, I can book another client. So 45, 50 minutes with the AMiKO Peel.
Good. Okay. Yeah. And you can see the protocol there, pretty straightforward. You're basically cleansing, you're applying the peel, you're monitoring the skin and leaving it on for the appropriate time for the client that you are working on. And then neutralizing is optional. Although it is self-neutralizing, I personally still like to neutralize my peels, and I do that with any of my self-neutralizing peels. For me, it just gives me a little bit more control. especially depending on who's in front of me, right? So if I have clients that have more sensitive skin, maybe higher pigment risk, it's my insurance that I have actually stopped that peel process, because even though the peel self neutralizes at about 10 minutes, it's not like a timer that right at 10 minutes it's completely shut off, right? It might still be working, maybe, not as strong as it was a minute 2 or minute 3, but it might still be working there. And for some clients, I want to make sure that I've completely stopped that process. So it is optional. Like I said, personally, I like to do a neutralizer with it. The sessions can be done. I am going to change that slide. It says 7 to 10 days there. I would recommend 10 to 14 days. Of course, you as a professional have to use your professional discretion to adjust that depending on the client that you're working on, right? So even though you can do the peel every 10 days, if your client maybe still has some, effect from the peel that you just previously did, maybe they're a little flaky. You don't want to do another peel right on top of that. You want to extend that time a little bit more. So I always say, just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? That's where you as a professional have to come in and make that judgment.
With Jet, I do recommend 14 days. I do it where in a series of 6 treatments, every other treatment, I'll incorporate the AMiKO Peel. So they're still coming in, excuse me, every week for Jet, but they're doing the AMiKO every 14 days as opposed to once a week. Is really, I think, too much for most people.
And I think for me personally, I'm always more on the conservative side. So if I am working on someone who is has a higher pigment risk, or maybe we are working on pigmentation, I will do 14 days versus 10 days, because I want to be slow and steady in correcting that, and not too aggressive, because again, that can work against us, especially with pigments. So, and then we have our ORC line. So this is what supports your results after the treatment. So I'm sure we all know, right? Like what you do post-treatment matters just as much, if not more, than what you're doing in your treatment. Your clients are home every single day doing their skincare, so they have to support our professional treatments at home. Non-negotiable, right? I like to say, coming to your esthetician for the professional treatment is like going to the gym and booking a session with a trainer. And then your home care is you going to the gym on your own to support that, right? You can't just go see your trainer one time and expect that you're going to have like a 6 if you're not doing anything else. So yeah, so your clients need to support that at home. It's really important that we educate our clients on that as well. So, contraindications. So pretty much like anything else that we're doing in our treatment room, you want to screen your clients properly. You want to know your clients, you want to know what they're on, what they're using, what have they tried before. This is nothing new. This is something that we should all be doing in our treatment. And then as always, professional discretion for safety, right? We can give you all the contraindications, but sometimes there are going to be certain situations where maybe it's just best not to, or to wait longer, like we talked about earlier. I'm actually getting through my slides really quickly.
Well, that's okay, because I'll show the devices too, and then we can talk about layering and the protocol.
Perfect. So these are some before and afters here. As you can see, even clients with rosacea, you can do this on, and that's because of the colostrum component, right? A lot of times our peels are going to be contraindicated for clients with sensitized skin, clients with rosacea, and things like that. With AMiKO, we can actually do this peel on those clients. So you can see before and afters here. So if I had to simplify it, the AMiKO difference is that it is controlled cell turnover, exfoliation, with support built into the process. So you're going to get results, and it's going to feel a lot more manageable from a provider standpoint. And when you bring AMiKO on, you will get support, training, everything you need to make this not only a results-driven treatment, but also a highly profitable one. Okay, because like I said, at the end of the day, our goal is to create change and improve our client's skin, but we are also here to make a living, and there is no shame in that. So, that is all I have for you. So if there's any questions, and I will go in and check the chat and the Q&A. I think we're good there. Jessica, do you want to move on to your, let me unshare my screen. There we go.
Yes, let me go ahead. So I think a lot of you here that I can see already have our D66. And the way that I layer this with the AMiKO is first by doing the jet plasma, and then I go ahead and apply the AMiKO Peel afterwards. So that's a great way to incorporate in the same treatment for the D66, jet plasma, and AMiKO. With the new device, which I don't know if all of you guys have seen this yet, but it's beautiful. This one actually doesn't have a battery pack, so it's really nice that the device doesn't have to cool down the way our D66 and our original device have to have a cool down period. This actually, I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a fan running. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's nice that it actually has an internal cooling system. And with this device, and I'll show you real quick how it works, I would recommend doing the AMiKO and your jet on different sessions. So I wouldn't pair the two necessarily, because in most cases you are going to be numbing with this device. So I wouldn't pair the AMiKO Peel with numbing and the jet, with this being much stronger than the D66 device. So this one, to show you really quick how you can roll it. It's very different than our previous technology. Everything's still touchscreen, but this is going to be using this cap here with a roller, as opposed to the original tip. The mechanism was actually right here. It was like a microcomputer in the tip. This one, we're using a ceramic rod, and it's going to create that plasma. I just want to show you guys how different it is. So this, can you hear that, Karla?
No, I think there might be noise canceling on
okay. Okay, got it. Well, it does make, you can hear kind of a little bit of a noise here. This also is going to have a roller cap, so makes it really nice and smooth to roll across the surface of the skin. No cooling period. And with this one, like I mentioned, I would recommend doing this, and then on your off week, the next week, you can go ahead and do the AMiKO. And so you're kind of doing an alternating series is what I'd recommend with this device. So of course, people are going to kind of play around, create their own protocols. I know that's standard for us as estheticians, but I'm definitely with Karla of the thought process that slow and steady definitely gets us better results, typically faster. And so I would recommend doing this. And you're asking Danielle, the T33, I would do them differently than you're doing the D66 device that I know you have with the AMiKO Peel. So that's our new device with jet plasma. If any of you have questions, I do have some really great class promos. So reach out to me directly. I'll actually drop my number. You guys can reach out to me, text or call. I'll put it into the chat right now. So if we have questions on the new device or how to incorporate the protocol, or a specific client, if you want me to take a look at their skin and share a little bit about how I would move forward with that client, I'm happy to take a look at that for you. Let me put my email in. Let's see. Put my email as well. So if you guys want to reach out via email or text me, we can connect that way. And I found, AMiKO through Karla, and I have to say it's completely transformed my results. And several of you on here I know have jet and AMiKO, and you guys are seeing really great results in your treatment room as well. So it's something that if you're looking to level up your treatment room, if you're feeling kind of how I was feeling, which was kind of stagnant and doing the same thing for so many years. When I launched Jet, it really changed that for me. And then pairing AMiKO with it is just elevating those results, but without major downtime. They might have a little bit of sloughing, but most clients aren't having that super heavy peeling, but they're getting the results like when I used to do really heavy peels and my clients were peeling like a snake for 10 to 12 days. But my clients are getting those results without that heavy downtime, which is really nice.
Right. Okay, and then Jessica, I have a couple of questions here for AMiKO, so I'll just answer those really quick. Okay, question is for darker skin, how long does the client need to use a tyrosinase inhibitor if they even need to? Me personally, when dealing with pigmentation or clients with higher pigment risk, that's going to be a non-negotiable. Having them on an inhibitor will be a non-negotiable. I always, depending on what inhibitor you're using, and I don't mean brands, but just more so ingredients and things like that, I like to start clients on inhibitors minimum 2 weeks before my treatment, and then I want them to continue using that throughout the series that we're going to be doing. That being said, when we're working on our melanin rich skin and any client that already has pigmentation, I know tyrosinase inhibitor is the one that we talk about the most or people are most familiar with. But when it comes to pigmentation, there's actually multiple different pigment pathways. And it is really important that we address more than just inhibition of melanin. So that would be a much longer conversation for another time. So if you want to discuss that, I'll also drop my number. You can reach out to me. We can talk about that. I am doing a presentation on pigmentation, brand neutral, just because this is a conversation that comes up a lot with pigmentation. So yeah, so depending on the inhibitor you're using, it could be, you could be using a hydroquinone, a prescription hydroquinone, it could be kojic acid, alpha-arbutin, anything like that. So it's going to depend on what type of inhibitor you're using. And then, like I said, making sure that you're also addressing multiple pigment. And then there was a question about using slide to build ads or update your menu. I'm not sure if you were referring to Jet or AMiKO. If it is AMiKO, like I said, I'll put my number in the chat and you can reach out to me and I can help you with that. I think there's a question in there for Jet, Jessica. Is the treatment time the same with the T33?
The treatment time, no, it is a little bit shorter, and there's actually a super mode that's a 5-minute super mode. So you can actually do even more expedited treatments, but with those, I would recommend numbing first. So you're kind of doing a shorter Jet treatment, but then you're adding numbing time. So the treatment itself might not actually be much shorter than what you're currently doing. It's not necessarily shorter treatments, but what it is less treatments to get the result because the device is stronger. So really 3 to 4 treatments is kind of a standard series instead of 6 with the D66 or even 8 with the R98 and the R97, depending on which device you have. And all of them are great and different. It can be used in the treatment room and paired differently with AMiKO. It's just a matter of what device you have because based on the strength is how you'll work in the AMiKO Peel. Any other questions? I don't see any more. Any more questions from you guys?
Someone said, love combining Jet D66 with AMiKO a week ago. So we just tried it a week ago. Perfect. Love that.
I did actually see that before and after, and it's amazing. So you should share it on your page again, Lisa. It's really a great combination, and the colostrum is the piece that I really love about it. And then those additional ingredients for really helping with inflammation. I know you touched on this, Karla, but when we're doing so much to the client, cleansing and exfoliant, doing the Jet, adding in the peel, it's so important that we're also being mindful of inflammation, keeping that nice and calm, because inflammation really does in most cases lead to pigmentation. So it's important to note that, and that's one of the really great selling points of this peel.
Do you guys see my number in the chat? I did put it in there, but I'm not sure if you're seeing it.
I do, yes.
You do? Okay, perfect.
And then I think, is that it? Any other questions? Do you have any questions for me at all, Karla? I know that, we've done a couple of these, but is there anything that you have questions on?
I think you answered my questions earlier, just about incorporating it and your the timing and all of that.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the nice thing with adding something like this is it's not taking a ton of additional time, but then you're able to really see that ROI on the treatment, and the client is really seeing the result. They're getting their results faster with their skin, and that's where we build a loyal clientele and they continue to come back and send referrals.
What would or who would be your ideal client for the combination treatment, or is it anyone, or is there a type of client that would be ideal?
I really feel like it's a great combination for most skin concerns. There's, not somebody I would say not to do it on, unless of course pregnant, things like that, contraindications. But really for me, I've used it on, a client with acne. I've used it on my own skin and used it on somebody who's in their 80s and had really great results. So I love that I can do something that's, I don't want to say like neutral necessarily, but I love streamlining my back bar. I guess that's where I'm going. Is my first spa in San Diego, I had, 5 different lines and just a million things. And the back bar was not overwhelming because I did enjoy everything I had there, but it was also very expensive to keep a back bar up of that size and that caliber. And especially with a team of, 10 to 15 at any time. So this time, as I'm gearing up to open another spa here in Las Vegas, I'm really streamlining down to what works well, what the clients are really receiving, and really I'm getting positive feedback from clients. And even my own skin, when I first did AMiKO back, before I jumped in as a rep with you guys, I did it on myself first to make sure I loved it. I knew I loved the ingredient deck, but when I did it, I had probably like 6, 7 compliments, just that first week on my skin. So it's something that I've really seen the transformation, but then I can keep my back bar really streamlined and not feel like it's, constantly replacing a million different things, when I know I can have a smaller set of products that they really work and they target a lot of different concerns for my clients.
Okay. Do you charge more for the new jet device versus the D66?
Yes, it is recommended to charge an elevated price on that. It's a lot stronger, so you're going to see results really quick with it. And it is a recommended increased price point from the D66. And that comes with the training. You'll get a full online training. Right now, there's actually access to a 2-day in-person training if you purchase the device. So definitely reach out if you have any questions on that, and I can get you set up with the training locations or the online if that's better for you. And there's a ton of support with Jet. So as you're gearing up to launch, there'll be a lot of support in how to best do that, how to price for your area, for your clientele, and then really just make sure that you're successful with it. I know a few of you here, I know the names, and you guys are doing great with it. I know Lisa, who's on here, just hit 25K back-to-back months, and she's using, the AMiKO Peel and the Jet Plasma. So celebrating you, Lisa. That's awesome. I love it. We can all win together.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yes. So, and then on that, when you were talking about training and all that too, if when you bring on the AMiKO Peel, or if you already have it, it is really important that you do your training, because outside of the standard protocol, there are advanced protocols that you can adjust for your client, depending on what the skin goals are, and so it is important to adjust that as needed, right? I always say, don't just take the protocol and run and copy and paste that for everyone. It's really important that as a professional, you are tailoring your treatments for the person that's in front of you.
100%. I mean, everyone is so different, right, on the table. So it's so important that we're really looking at their skin, we're asking the questions, we're doing the consultation, and then we can layer different modalities and peels to get really great results. But it does help to really start off by checking in with them and seeing where they're at.
All right. Any other questions before we let you guys go?
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Karla. I always enjoy doing this. I really do love both the Jet and the AMiKO. So I'm excited for you guys to have learned a little bit more today. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to both of us.
Good. Thank you so much for joining us.